It is the oldest story in the book. Darkness versus the light.
Hey, it's me, SR Mowry here for another Servants of Judgment book club, episode number 4, Servants of Judgment, volume 1. We're getting a little bit further in, and today we're going to start with chapter 8, which is a Zack and Hale story where they arrive in the Eastern Kingdom, which is Rasta. And this chapter is rather intense. Let me show you, what I'm about to share with you. Maybe you didn't realize this when you were reading it, but it's going to make you appreciate the chapter a lot more. So when we first come into the city, we are in Hale's perspective, and he sees all of the things as they're walking up to Captain Zoya's, structure, house, whatever you want to call it, the sheriff's department, whatever you want to call it. That's not what's important right now. And he's kind of seeing everything through almost like a rose-tinted lens of how great this is. And then we have the conversation where the elves drop the orcs off with the authorities in Rasta. And we meet Ode Zoya, who is kind of like, I wanted this to have almost like a Western vibe, but there's no guns, obviously. But it almost, like, people kind of dress like Western, Wild West kind of cowboy kind of style, but still fantasy. Maybe I should have had a drawing down of him, because that would have been interesting for people to see. And then also they're all, what we in America would call African American, but obviously they're not African American, but they're black, right? So I wanted to give that kind of a civilization. Obviously lots of different types of people exist, and this is a big city where, black people are prevalent. I wanted to give that. I feel like it's cool. It's important. Not that that's the reason why I did it, but, it is what it is. Let's see. So here's where it gets cool. After they have their initial conversation, Zack is like, I need a drink. So then we go through the exact same city, noticing all the things that Hale noticed, but from Zack's perspective. And we get his internal dialogue. And so for the first time in the series, you get to be in Zack's head, and you get to see what that's like. And all of the things that Hale did not notice, because he had these rose-tinted glasses on, Zack notices. Now, maybe some of his observations aren't true, but probably some of them are, right? And it's kind of like this idea of, well, people that walk around with their head lost in the clouds in idealism aren't very well equipped for solving the world's problems, because they aren't even really capable of identifying what the problems are, because they're so busy seeing the glass half full. They're not aware of what the problems actually are, because they're intentionally blinding themselves to it, kind of burying their head in the sand almost. Zack's not that way. Obviously I'm not saying we should all see the world with the glass half empty. I'm not saying that we should be Zack Bonebreaker. But those people do have a place in the world. They're the ones that get stuff done. They're the ones that punish evil and bring justice, right? And that's exactly what Zack does here. He notices all these horrible things. He goes and has his drink at the bar, and it's kind of slowly building up in his rage, like, I have to actually act. I have to do something. I know I can't save everybody, but I can save somebody. And he ends up saving Ozoya's daughter, who was about to be, taken by what we discover to be a serial killer, kind of like an Ed Gein-like figure, who is the sawmill worker. And Zach, kills the guy's dogs who were wrestling over a human femur. Right, Zach's the only one that noticed that. He's the only one that noticed. Hale was like, "Oh, it's some cute dogs playing with a bone." Zach's the only one that was like, "That's just the right size for a young human femur." And he goes and investigates, and this guy is luring, like, it's very clearly this guy has lured this little girl in, promising that there are puppies in the back, when that is not true. And so Zach goes, kills the dogs, brings one of the dog carcasses down into the cellar, where he finds this room full of, like, people in the process of dying, people who are dead, people that have been skinned, human skins, like, splayed upon the walls with, for simplicity reasons, satanic symbols painted in blood on them, like, pretty dark stuff. And he kills the guy. He saves the girl, kills the guy, and these guards from the city show up, and they think that Zach did it. Like, he's like, "That doesn't make sense. I don't even live here. How would I have all this set up?" And they're not listening to it. They're not listening to reason. And it kind of just shows, the racism against orcs is pervasive across all humans and elves, really. And yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of a point I'm trying to make here that, yeah, everybody can be racist, including black people, right? That is there. And it's true. Anybody can be racist, and including orcs, by the way. But Zach, realizes, I can't kill these people. I have to beat them, without killing them. He's like, "But I'm Zach Bonebreaker, so of course I can." And then he does. In pretty brutal fashion. Saves the girl, brings her back, ends up realizing, well, they're still going to be arrested. He's probably going to be hanged because the people here aren't interested in evidence. So Zach and Hale have to end up leaving the Eastern Kingdom in secret, which is obviously pretty unfortunate. And then we get to Chapter 9, which is the Queen of Owls. So have a great week.